Hey folks, Les here again, back for another week of S1 Behind the Scenes Weekly. This time I'm working on some more product shots for a new creature going into our Enchanted Forest, the Miwaku no Mori product line. And I need a good scene for that. Now, there's a scene that we'll eventually be releasing. It's called the Enchanted Forest. That ties into the line. And part of the scene is this nice backdrop that we developed, this kind of sky dome sort of thing, that's really scene specific. It's set up just for this little world and set up so that it works just right for this. Anyway, the tone of this new character, he's an interesting new character. I'm not going to give too many details about him just yet because I'm not ready to show anything off. But he's kind of a darker, more of a nemesis villain sort of character to go on the product line. And as part of his design, he has kind of a red lava, hellish sort of glow that comes off of him, and from some of his props and different elements. So what I wanted to do was take our environment and kind of have the darker side of the Enchanted Forest. And anyway, so where I'm at right now is I wanted to keep the same backdrop, but change the colors without having to go into Photoshop, and so that we can include that when we release it as a product. We can include that for poser users as a simple material setting. So anyway, here we're going to go through the way that I'm the solution that I'm using to provide that. So here you can see our texture map. We're looking at the backdrop that you see in the far background with the image painted on it, and that backdrop you can see opened up here in this image map node. So I'll just double click on this. We're working in Poser Pro 2014, but this should be compatible with any version of Poser that has these material nodes available. So I'm just going to call that my backdrop image. Okay. Then here you can see that I have these three nodes out here labeled red, blue, and green channel. What these are, if you wanted to make this for yourself, is if you right-click in the material editor, go to New Node, then go into Math and Component. This will open up the component node for you. And what this does, each of the numerical values under component is picking a degree of either red, blue, or green, which, you know, RGB images, that's what all this digital stuff is RGB color space. So basically the values here, 0, 1, and 2, are telling the component editor how much of each channel to let through this node. So here we have 0, and you'll see that it takes the red channel from our image and displays it grayscale. So 0 is the grayscale data for the red channel. Blue corresponds to a component of 1, okay, and green is 2. So if we open all these up, you'll see they actually, at first glance, it's really hard, especially through the little thumbnails, it's really hard to tell much of a difference, although you can see that the red channel seems a little more saturated, a little more dense. The green channel also, since our image is so green heavy, red and greens are the ones that are going to come out a little more dense than the blue channel in this. So anyway, what we've done is we've taken these components through nodes, or component nodes I should say, and taken our original image right here and set each of these 0, 1, and 2, R, G, and B, to look at this image. So now our red channel coming through here is going to pull its data from that backdrop image. Then we can take this node called user defined, take a copy of the user defined node, which I've already changed the name in here to color change, and it has 3 values, red, green, and blue. So if we run these components into each of these and set them all to 1, we see that what we're doing then is combining these 3 components back together to create, to compile back together the exact same image we started with. The interesting thing, though, is that now we can dial in or out amounts of each of these channels. So as you see there where I've set green and blue both to 0, now we're left with just the red channel. If we were to dial in a 1 on green and turn red all the way off, you'll see the effect. So even though here in our channel node it shows up gray, in this user-defined node with it set to RGB, we're controlling the actual green value. Now, of course, if you set it to 0, you have all black. So we can go in and dial ourselves in different values for each of these, and you'll see our image starting to show up, and we can really get very specific with the way that we want to affect the tone of our image, which works well for what I need in this, altering a backdrop for this. So here you can see just with these light tones, that could be a nice setting for this background image, for setting it to a kind of a nighttime sort of look. We could pump the blue up a little bit more to have some more vibrancy to it. I'm looking for something that's a little more hellish, so I'm going to bring up my reds pretty high. And just kind of bounce back and forth between these, playing around until I get something that has kind of this reddish orange effect to it that I think might work well for creating kind of a fiery, hellish landscape. And here we're starting to go more yellow with it, so let's bump the red a bit more. Okay. Getting a little closer to what I'm looking for, I think. Pretty sure I'm going to have virtually no blues in this. There we go. Now we're talking. So about 0.76, 0.75 on the red, 0.25 on blue. And that gives us that color change that I'm looking for. So that's a quick look into using these, using the shader nodes and using the system of components, separating your image out into its RGB components, then putting them back together inside the user-defined node to control colors and really get a fine level of control over actual shades. And there are other ways to do this. You could accomplish getting color changes like that other ways inside Poser, but I particularly like this one for just the degree of control it gives me in having access to those channels like that. So anyway, that's it for this week. Sorry to be so short with it. I've got a ton of stuff on my plate right now, and so, hopefully some more of that's going to make its way through. We're working on the Apocalypse Girl graphic novel is coming together really well. And we have, it's amazing some of the stuff that we've got going on. It's pretty cool. Hopefully one week in the future, sometime in the next couple of weeks, we'll maybe put something on camera and kind of walk you guys through, showing you some of the cool stuff going on, and take a different approach to this. For now, though, hopefully this little look inside, being able to tweak colors with the nodes inside Poser will be helpful for some folks, and if not, maybe just entertaining or something. So anyway, thanks a lot for checking it out again, and remember www.6s1.com, where you can find out more about us, 6s1 Media, and our studio, and all that deal. So anyway, till next week. Later.